Yes, guys, welcome back to another week of the weekly roundup with myself and Crypto Insight UK. It's week 16, and we've got some more news for you guys.
Week
How are you?
16, another
How are
one.
you, Crypto Insight?
I'm all right, bro. How are you?
I'm good. I'm all good. It's got a very interesting week, and we actually are recording this a day early this week, which isn't ideal, but Will is off on a stag do tomorrow, so it
Um,
has to be done today because we would have liked to have reported
mm,
on this news to you guys tomorrow, obviously, because we would actually have the actual results from it. But I guess we can just speculate about it instead today. But
Indeed. Well, it would have been
obviously,
nice. Go on.
gone. I was just going to say it's a big week. It's a big day actually today because we've got
Yeah.
a lot coming our way over the next couple of days. In terms of, as you can see, we've got the FOMC meeting today. What rate hike are they going to go for? Is it going to be 75 basis points? Is it going to be 100 basis points? I doubt it. 75 sounds like the number everyone seems to be going for at the moment. And then we've also obviously got GDP numbers coming out. I think that's tomorrow, isn't it? 28th of July. So are we going to be technically in a recession or are we not?
well,
And then we've also got, we've got a lot going on.
well, we're
Really
definitely
are in a
not
recession.
because they're changing the technical definition of
Yeah,
recession.
that's actually ridiculous, isn't it?
Isn't it?
No, we're not technically in a recession anymore because we've changed the definition. So you're right.
Yeah, because recession is nothing.
They're literally in denial at the moment, aren't they? It's just like, just accept it. They need to accept it and just deal with it. But yeah, that's obviously coming out tomorrow. So what do you think? Do you think we actually are going to see a second consecutive
Yeah,
negative growth
yeah,
quarter? Yeah,
almost without a doubt, because I think that they wouldn't be arguing about what the definition of recession is
yeah,
if we weren't
exactly.
going to. So
They know what's coming.
I just don't get why, like, if we're in a recession, we're in a recession. Just get on with it. Like, sort it. Let's sort it out. Let's try and find some ways to overcome this. It's not going to change anything. It's just literally phrasing that obviously brings some negative sentiment to the market, but it's not going to change anything in terms of like what's happening out there. It's just putting a different terminology on the way that the market is. So I don't
Yeah,
get why like Janet Yellen came out this morning and said, "Oh, we need like contracting market conditions for the economy or whatever." Well, pretty sure if your GDP is negative in 2 quarters, then your economy is contracting. So, like, why are you splitting hairs over a definition? It doesn't make any sense.
yeah, just kind of face it head on and just deal with it. But no, I totally agree. I think like the thing is, I feel everyone kind of has seen this coming. I feel like the smart money have already been under the impression that we've been in a recession for probably like the past couple of months now. Do you know what I mean? I feel like a lot of people have been saying that. But I guess we'll get the official result tomorrow in terms of what they do. But even with the rate hikes, in my opinion, I feel like it's already been fairly priced in. I don't think it's going to have uh, a too much of like a negative effect on the markets. It might do in terms of like a percentage, couple percentage here and there. Probably will see a red day, but like I've been saying over the past couple of weeks, I feel like all all the whales have kind of priced all this kind of economic situation into account anyway. So
Yeah, it's just a bit of a weird one because like if you remember the last like FOMC where they announced they were going to do was it a point 0.5,
yeah, which was
which was higher than what people expected. We actually had a green day out the back of that.
yeah, true. That's actually
Like
true. Actually, I do remember that.
that was weird. I was gonna make a TikTok about that soon actually, but
Yeah, because
like it's a
sorry,
weird
go on.
thing. It's just a weird thing. Like if we're expecting a 0.75, I actually don't know which way the market's going to take that. Like, if we get a worse than
Yeah, for
expected.
sure. At least it's not a one. Yeah, 10% up.
Yeah, literally. Oh, it wasn't 2.5. Cool.
Yeah, we expected that. Yeah, I know. I just feel like everything, like you say, everything's kind of like doom and gloom at the moment. So I guess any piece of like good news could have that effect. You never know. But I guess we'll have to report on it next week and see how the market did react, etc. But keep an eye on it. It's obviously really important that we don't see it too. I don't want to see 100 basis points. Basically, I don't think anyone wants to see that.
Apparently, that'd be the biggest rate hike in history if they did a
Yeah, I remember you
1%.
saying that. I didn't know that, which is absolutely crazy
Yeah.
because there is a possibility that it could happen. But I think, like I said, I think the vast majority of people think a 75 basis points will be the verdict. But
Yeah, it's even more crazy because, like, of how fast the increases have been. Like, nothing to 0.25, zero point 0.5, then
yeah,
straight up to like 1 or 0.75. I'm not sure if we did 0.75 last time.
it's
But
like they've reacted too late.
there's like talk in the market at the minute where people are saying, um, this is basically what the market speculation is from what I've been reading about is that people think that we're going to get a 0.75, and then we'll then obviously get the GDP readings tomorrow, and whatever happens there happens there. But then obviously we'll get CPI for last month at the start of August,
Yeah.
which everyone's presuming pretty much almost has to be lower because of the amount that oil's retracted.
Oil,
And so that almost has to be lower. And then people are speculating that that's just going to lead to like some sort of relief pump or relief rally. So I'm going on a bit of a tangent here, so that I'll get to my point in a second.
Yeah, go on.
But that's going to lead to like a bit of a relief rally, and a lot of people are saying, okay, look, that's where I'm going to de-risk and get out of some positions, and I don't disagree with that if you've got like high positions on. But what I then think is, I think they're saying, look, it's going to be returned to normal, market euphoria, people are going to believe that the Fed aren't going to tighten so much. The Fed probably will loosen a little bit, so it'll give them a bit of leeway, and we'll have that relief rally. But then what I actually think is going to happen is, a lot of people are going to sell out of their positions thinking, okay, cool, I'll take some profits in my relief rally, or de-leverage my positions a little bit. But I actually think we'll pump out of that, because what the Fed have said the whole time is, well, we're only going to tighten until things break. Well, by that time, some of these things will have broken. Like the housing market's going to be coming down if it continues to do what it's doing. Some of these like things that are like tittering on whether they're going to break now, what we're looking at is all lagging indicators. You've got like the ISM that's projecting that we're going to have a deep recession really quick. So by the time we get to the point of like the CPI numbers from like a month and a half ago, things are probably already breaking in the right there. So instead of it just being a relief rally, I actually think that that's where momentum could carry through, because what I think will happen is it's going to give the Fed some scope to be more loose. Then we've got obviously midterms coming up, and I think they'll stimulate into that. So I actually think that people might get wrong-footed trying to take profits on a relief rally, because people obviously, and I understand why you would do that, and I think that if you are heavily leveraged, drop some of your positions there, because you just don't want to be heavily leveraged when it's just uncertain. But I think things will start breaking there, so I think the Fed will start pumping liquidity back into the market, because I don't think they'll have any other choice. So we actually might see a really steep reversal in that sense. So that's where my brain was going to like the last few days anyway.
Yeah, I mean, look, I wouldn't say that scenario is completely out of the question. I feel like everyone's so fixated on the fact that, it's gonna go under this relief rally, which I do also agree with for the reasons you said. And they said obviously everyone's going to start selling, because obviously to de-risk, and they're going to start seeing another almost like a capitulative event again. But like we said every week, I think every week we've said it, no one knows actually what's going on in terms of like price action. So that scenario doesn't seem too far-fetched for me. I guess time will tell whether that does happen or not, but it does make sense if you think about it. Like logically, it does actually make sense why that could happen. Like you said, midterms coming up. There's a lot of other things changing right now. It just depends. It's all in the Fed's hands in terms of where we do end up going. But
yeah, and I think the main thing to like put some importance on and to really focus on here is that the indicators that the Fed themselves are using are lagging, and that's the thing that people really need to take into consideration. Is like, okay, so yeah, CPI might look all right this month, and yeah, obviously oil might rebound from this position, no one knows, but it's going to take a few months for that to kick in, to be in CPI again, so we could have like a decrease in CPI, and then we could shoot back up if it goes the opposite way. I personally don't know whether oil is going to keep going up or come down, and that's an argument for another time in terms of like demand for oil, and we talked about this off camera the other day, but whether that does or doesn't happen, that's still... them readings are from like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago. They're outdated now because of how fast everything's changing. We're going to see, well, we've been seeing cracks in the system for a while. The Fed then are going to have this lower CPI, want to stimulate or help the economy a little bit going into the midterms. And then by that time, they're not going to be able to help everything. I think something will break. And I don't know what that something will be, but I think we'll see something start to, and if not start to, I think we'll see something break, and then I think that the Fed will have no choice but to continue to try and help the economy by quantitative easing probably, or less strict tightening and less strict interest rate hikes.
Yeah, no, like I said, I wouldn't say that's too far-fetched at all. Like everything's lagging. We get good positive CPI results at the same time. The Fed have to pivot due to the fact that in that current time, when we do get the July CPI reads, everything could be breaking, so they'd have to like obviously pivot, like you said. But it all depends on timing. I think timing is really important in order for that scenario to happen. In
Mm.
terms of getting the CPI reads, certain things to start cracking even more, and Fed pivoting at the same time, or even like trying to get this soft landing that they're aiming for. But I guess time will tell what will happen with that. I don't think
Well,
I'm not going out on a limb and saying this is going to happen, that's going to happen, but you just got to take it as it comes. I
well,
think.
the Fed are like guaranteed to get a soft landing because because they just changed the definition of everything.
Technically, we soft landed, so
Technically, it's all right.
oh, bloody hell, they ain't got Scooby. But another thing we've got going on this week are obviously earnings. In the past, obviously earnings have a big impact on price action because it kind of gives a good indication in terms of how companies are dealing with the current situation.
Mhm.
And there's a bit of conflicting information out there at the moment. Obviously, we've got Google and the parent company Alphabet, which and then this particular article kind of suggesting that they are dealing with they're weathering the storm basically better than people expected them to do, and they're actually 13% higher in terms of revenue than a year ago. So, which suggests that okay, not too much is going on here. And then you go over to like Walmart's earnings, which is better. It was actually worse than they expected. But then one obviously you can see the highlighted paragraph above, which is a narrative which isn't new to anyone. Sorry, like we've even covered it on the weekly roundup, and that's the fact that people are really like Walmart are overstocked,
Mhm.
which is going to force their hand in terms of slashing prices, which will help soften their inflation narrative basically. So that's another thing. If that kind of happens and that coincides with CPI reads and all this kind of stuff starts snowballing into like a massive change in narrative, it could happen like within I'd say like end of Q3 this year. This is what I'm saying. Like a lot of things can change quite quickly, and I know it looks really like terrible at the moment, the whole situation. And I'm not saying it's not. And I'm not saying it can't get worse because it very well can. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, and that's
but
what makes
certain things can happen at the right time. You never know. You never know what's going to happen.
that's
I'm
what
not trying
makes
to
that's what
go
makes
on.
things complicated in this market though, because exactly what you've just said there. Like if we do start to get some kind of turnaround by the end of Q3 because of all these factors, you've also got to imagine that other people who have like more indicators and more professional technical analysis tools than what anyone who is going to be watching this or we are exposed to. So like in huge companies, they're going to be able to see what we're seeing, but also then going to take some hedged risk to front run us, basically. So that
How
front
it
running
works.
can then start to move the market in a positive direction before we obviously see that. So
Yeah,
that's why things could change like a lot more faster than what people expect.
yeah. This is what I mean. Time will tell. I guess that's the main thing that it comes down to in terms of like. But that's the situation we're in at the moment. No one can like predict truly and say where they're going. We can only react to news at a time because that's how I think everything is at the moment. We're really in a reactive like
Mm.
do you know what I mean? A state at the moment where everyone just kind of reacts as and when we kind of get news instead of trying to forecast it because it's pretty much near impossible to forecast exactly what's going to happen at the moment. So
Yeah, for sure. And like we've obviously got the big catalyst that could always change,
yeah,
which is the war.
the war.
Yeah, and the supply chain issues with China, and like there's been a lot of issues this week with that Joe Biden sent some oil reserves over to America, sold them some barrels of oil. Like I don't know exactly, can't remember how much, but a lot of people in America are really cross about that, obviously because their gas prices are so high. Then they sell barrels of oil to China, and they're like, "Well, we need the oil. Why are you selling it?" And everyone was really cross with Biden for that. But I actually think like, and I don't know this for sure. This is completely my speculation. But imagine he's just selling it to like strengthen trade deals, and then trade routes come back online faster. Another way that inflation is going to come down a lot more quickly because that's one of the main drivers for inflation at the minute is obviously supply chain issues with all around in every sector. I think.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like I guess being a natural American, you're going to see the bad side of that decision. But if you take like a step back, like you said, and think why he's doing it, he's obviously he wouldn't do it, especially to China. He wouldn't just give China like obviously due to the relationship between US and China. I don't think he would help them out that easy when his population are obviously suffering at the moment with like inflation and oil prices in general. So I think there is something more to it. He wouldn't just do that, surely. I mean, whatever your opinion is of Joe Biden, surely he's not that stupid to do that just for the sake of making some extra money. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. I don't know. There's so many variables like we're talking about there, and then but also there's also the variable of like if China move into Taiwan, that just messes
yeah,
everything up as well. So
I really hope that don't happen, but
yeah, so do
there's a lot that could happen. Like, even a lot of people saying it, a lot of interviews I'm watching on the YouTube that this geopolitical situation could be over a lot quicker than people expect. So,
I.
and then what would that do to the markets?
Yeah, exactly. There's like anyone who's got this is what we keep saying every week. Anyone who's got complete conviction right now, like you
Yeah,
can't be completely like one way or another because we've got so many variables that could change one way or another in like, and they could happen like in a day. Like
yeah.
if they just announce like a ceasefire in Russia, like Ukraine, boom, the markets will go nuts. If
This is what I
they
mean. 'Cause no one knows what's going on behind closed doors, and this isn't just trying to spread hopium to anyone. We're just stating facts. Like, honestly, anything can change like that. And I just feel like everyone's so in that mindset of, oh no, we're going into a massive depression, which we could do. Who knows? But so they did neglect to see the other side in terms of coming out of a potential like refollowing, for example, or even like a complete turnaround in markets.
yeah, I think that's where it's important that we stress a lot. It's just like stay away from leverage at the minute.
Yeah, because
It's just so
everything's volatile
volatile
at the minute.
anyway. Yeah.
Everything's so volatile. Even like we'll look at the oil chart. I was actually having a look at the oil chart the other day, and like even just looking, turn it onto a weekly, and you look at the candles. It's turned into crypto candles right now. And if you look at it back at like 6 months ago or 7, 8 months ago, the moves are like 0.5% here, 1% here, even like 0.2% here. Now they're like 3, 10%. You know what I mean? It's like crypto. It's just ridiculous. But so you got to
Yeah.
be careful out there. But moving on to crypto a bit more here, we've got Rio de Janeiro to buy Bitcoin for the city's treasury. This is just broke, so we don't know too much about it here. But it's another one of the South American countries, sorry, getting involved in crypto, which we see week in week out.
Hmm.
And then we've also can relate that to the Brazil's leading brokerage firm reveals launch date for its crypto platform, which they're hoping to do in the middle of August. So we've still got some sort of bullish news coming out within crypto, despite everything that's going on. So,
Yeah, for
but
sure.
yeah, Brazil, and it's another name that again you've been shouting about from day one, and a lot of people have been hinting towards that they're going to be because they've been like they suggest they're really active within the scene despite what's going on in the markets, despite Bitcoin being at the price it's at now. They're still willing to take that leap of faith, and they obviously see something in terms of longevity within crypto that a lot of
Yeah,
people don't see.
and their new bank announced. We just talked about this off camera. Their new
Yeah,
bank announced that they've got 1 million customers who use or trade crypto now, and they're a big economy. They're a big economy, so it's not like it's nothing. It just seems like it's not a lot because of everything else that's going on. Like it's being overshadowed by everything else at the minute.
exactly. But that's just we just thought we'd bring that up anyway. But we'll move on to Ripple because they've been quite active this week. And if you are an XRP holder or a Ripple fan, you would surely you would have heard about this. But FOMO paid to utilize Ripple's on-demand liquidity for crypto-enabled treasury management. So this is actually a really big partnership, to be fair, and obviously using Ripple's ODL, which obviously leverages XRP in order to serve their customers. I think they had I think it was like 10,000 customers. I think that they have currently. Some like being big airlines. I think I was reading it on a different article, and then we've got some of it. This is the you can read this obviously, guys, on your internet. It's quite long. There's a lot of information about here on here, but it's an estimated 3.5 billion is spent annually. So
Yeah.
it's massive. It's a
Yeah,
big partnership. Yeah.
that's huge even in terms of ODL because if you think that the last year of transaction volume on ODL for the whole year was 8 billion, which was an 8x growth from the year before, to add an extra 3.5 billion from one customer, which is not also obviously not a retail customer, is actually a company who are now leveraging XRP to trade in the euro and US
Yeah.
dollar to take their, like it says there, to take their payment times down from 1 to 2 days to like instant payments on like a company's treasury. It's massive. It's this if like more companies start doing this, if FOMO are like an averagely sized company with 3.5 billion spent a year, like that's just one company. Imagine when loads of SMEs start coming on, and
This
Ripple
is what
have
we want
already
to
been
see.
stressing that.
Yeah, this is what we want to see there. We want to start seeing slightly larger companies getting onto the ODL and actually showing like we said, I'm pretty sure I've echoed these words before in previous episodes. We want like a bit of a snowball effect to go on here, like certain companies jumping onto it, and then obviously guarantee you've got loads of companies sitting on the sideline waiting for some sort of to adopt some sort of technology like this. So if this is, which I'm sure it will be, very successful, we're going to see a lot of other companies jumping onto ODL technology, whether it be Ripples or not. But this is exactly what we want to see. And like you said, it's Euro USD, so
Yeah.
it's not just like any other pairing. It's quite a big pairing. So if any, which a lot of other companies use this pairing, this currency pairing. So
And yeah, I just think that it will, obviously the reason why that it'll increase the XRP price over time is because it means that the ODL corridors have to have like more liquidity. So like we've seen Ripple buying XRP off the secondary exchanges in Q1 and Q4 of last year. I can't wait for Q2's report to come out from Ripple to see if they've increased their purchases, and you would presume that they will have, with that 3.5 billion extra liquidity they're going to have for the year's worth of ODL. So in time, we'll see a reflection in price. It's just when we start to see the exchanges start to like become more like illiquid in terms of their XRP amount,
yeah,
and we see more like demand for liquidity in ODL. That's literally what they're trying to do, is take away the stress for currencies and put that stress onto a crypto. And so they're going to need that. They're going to need that almost like a pot of it just sitting there to be able to be traded for their
yeah.
on-demand liquidity services.
This is what I mean. I feel like a lot of people will like forget about that point that you just made, that all these people who jump onto the ODL and companies that start using it, they need liquidity. So they're obviously going to have to buy that from secondary markets, which means there's going to be less XRP for us to buy, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So, which obviously in turn will, it's just normal supply and demand. It's going to be increase the price of XRP. So I
Exactly.
feel like a lot of people do kind of neglect that point, but it's nonetheless it's really positive to see a really big partnership in my opinion. Anyway,
Yeah, and it's pretty cool, isn't it? It's like
yeah,
actually seeing crypto being used to like solve real world problems
this
is actually
this is what we
really
were
cool.
speaking about the other day. Obviously, look, it says it right here. Normally, it would take 1 to 2 days, which okay, you think about it, it's not that long, but regardless, it's still an issue that everyone, even me, who works for like a family-run company, we we have issues in terms of getting money sent over to people, whether it be China, South Korea, whoever we transfer money to. It normally takes, I think it was like 3 to 5 working days, or sometimes it's longer than that. Sometimes it takes longer than that, and we can't get our product, our container shipped over to us in time. It's an issue. There is a fix to it. It's just people aren't, you know, getting onto it because they haven't positioned themselves. Obviously, we spoke about this off camera the other day, but we just need companies like FOMO to jump on it, show other people, show other companies, look, it's helped us do this. This is how it's helped us, and then they'll be more than willing to jump onto it because they've
Yeah,
had someone take that plunge.
it only has to be positive for one company. That's it.
That's what I mean.
If it's just positive for these, then more and more companies will sign up, because as soon as they show like, well, actually it freed up this much working capital or whatever, everyone's gonna be like, yeah, Sam, why would I not do that?
Exactly. So, like I said, it's going to be like a bit of a snowball effect, wouldn't it? And then
Mm-hmm.
we've got another partnership here. I've not read too much into this, but there we've got QNB, which are I've got here on another tab. Obviously, I'm sure a lot of people have heard about QNB, the largest financial institution in the Middle East and Africa, are basically adopting the RippleNet to help their services as well. So it's another huge partnership here. Obviously, they're not on using anything to do with like ODL or XRP specifically, but nonetheless, it's a partnership with Ripple. And even on their website here, when they start talking about this, they do speak about Ripple specifically and how they're carbon neutral and how they leverage XRP to make instant payments. It's down here as well. So it just shows that a lot of other, even huge banks like this, financial institution like this, are aware of the products and services that Ripple and XRP actually offer to people. So
Yeah, like it says there, they're the biggest bank in the Middle East and Africa, and they're also
yeah,
officially host. They're the official bank for the 2022 World Cup. So there's a lot of
yeah,
eyes on that. So
mm,
and again, like partnership with Ripple, they're
that's what I
signing that
mean.
in front of everybody. Like it's good for exposure. Like it again is showing the
That's the one.
public they're teaming up with a company that use cryptocurrency to settle payments, not necessarily in this in this deal, but it doesn't mean they won't in the future. And it's also showing like everybody that they're not afraid to be teaming up with like new fintech companies that provide different solutions.
Yeah, that's it. I think the main thing that comes out of this is exposure. I think and even if it's just to educate people of what Ripple XRP is, because you never know whose eyes are on that. So, but obviously we've got a couple of news stories breaking out from the actual XRP and SEC case. I feel like it's starting to heat up a bit in terms of like we've got a lot more events coming up and a lot more news coming out every day now, it seems. But this came out in the early hours of our morning anyway, and it's basically within this, will correct me if I'm wrong, obviously, because you pointed this to me, but it was the SEC kind of changing their stance once again, whether the Hinman emails were his opinion or company policy.
It's just mad. It's mad because like if you think about the last time when they even spoke in court, where the judge basically got the SEC to say exactly what was going on, she said, so you're saying that it was his opinion, it's attorney-client privilege from his opinion, and they were saying, yeah, look, that's basically our final answer. And then now they're objecting it to Judge Torres above Judge Netburn's ruling, and then saying, oh, actually, it was the decision of, it was used as corporate finance guidance for the SEC.
So once again, SEC's showing themselves up, in my opinion, again, because they're just going back and forward on their opinion, whether it's to stall it again, to try and buy a bit more time for whatever reason. It's just still it's a bit embarrassing now at this point, I think. Like, how can something well established as the SEC be so unprofessional, I think, anyway, is the correct word.
It's ridiculous.
Put it on YouTube.
It's ridiculous. I actually can't believe what I'm reading. Like, I know things are complicated and I understand that they're in a lawsuit and stuff, but I don't know how you can go into court one week and argue one thing and then literally, 3-4 weeks later, they're just saying, oh yeah, after you flip-flop back and forwards, and the judge has said, look, is that exactly your final answer? This is why. That's why they did the call-in, because the judge wanted to make sure that was what the SEC thought. The SEC said it, and then they've, on their appeal, they've said, oh, we think it's not actually that. It's like, we have a different opinion now.
They're just taking the mick, honestly. Like, they're just. Oh God, I've actually got no words for the SEC anymore.
Gary Gensler's a lizard.
He is a lizard. He looks like one too. I mean, what? But then we've also got this that came out yesterday as well, is that Judge Torres denies SEC's motion to revoke amnesty status and bar John Deaton from further proceedings. So obviously SEC tried to bar John Deaton's so he can't obviously get involved in the case at all, because he was obviously causing a lot of stir on Twitter anyway. But they've kind of squashed that now and said, look, he can obviously still do what he was trying to do now, but he said they can't participate in expert challenge.
Yeah.
Now, which obviously you can read it there, but
and John Deaton replied to this, isn't it?
Let's see what he said.
No, I mean, like, he actually replied to that ruling, I think, or he's basically put like some sort of reply in recently, and the reply is pretty decent, like, and it addresses. He basically says that he's been personally attacked by the SEC. That it's unprofessional and that never really happens in law. And then he also drew on the fact that Hinman's speech could potentially have conflict of interest, which Ripple can't bring. Like, Ripple can't actually say that apparently in law. Pardon me. But John Deaton said it in his little clip that he gets to put in. So it then means that comes in front of the judge, and then the judge can look at that as like evidence for the case. And apparently, like, all the attorneys who are like looking at it said it's like an absolutely amazing move from John Deaton to say something like that. Yeah. So the SEC just did not prepare for this.
This is what I mean. They've actually messed with the wrong guy here, haven't they? Do not mess with John Deaton.
Do you know what's funny about him as well? Is like, I feel like he's everywhere where the SEC are. There's the library. There was a library case. You know, there's that library case going on at the minute. Yeah. There was a hearing. They're at like blooming summary judgment already. By the way, this is how corrupt this case is. They're at summary judgment already, and John Deaton went and he sat in there and listened to the summary judgment. I feel like he's like a bad like a shadow for the SEC wherever they go. John Deaton's just there.
This is what I mean. You do not want to mess with this guy because he will come after you.
That is my guy.
This is what I mean. But yeah, there's been a lot going on. Don't you think there's been a lot going on with the case over the past few weeks? And I think it's going to continue, actually, obviously, because of SEC have filed their how many pages it's going to be now. They're obviously in a process of doing that. Then they're gonna have to make a decision on that. Then will we actually get the emails? Who knows? Who knows?
Oh, I don't know.
Hopefully, one week we're gonna start. The week we get those emails, we're gonna start the weekly roundup with that.
Yeah.
Whatever that week that will be, I'm not too sure, but we
It's
are
gonna
getting
be week 18, so not next week, the week
week
after. That's what I
18,
think.
2 weeks.
2 weeks,
Okay,
not necessarily the emails, but we'll have the decision by then. Because I think
yeah,
Torres
you
has
have
been
to.
rapid with her decisions so far.
Yeah.
Like she's straight up, like if she doesn't mess around with her briefings either.
Mhm.
She's like denied or like approved. That's it, straight
Mm.
up.
This has been going on for too long, as in terms of this little issue. Surely it's a bit embarrassing for a judge to kind of have two companies kind of basically determine her decision. It's
Yeah.
going to start to look like that if she doesn't, throw down the hammer and actually say, look, give us the emails, or throw down the hammer and say, okay, look, we don't need the emails. She's going to have to make a decision one way or the other because it's starting to go a bit long and it might start tainting their reputation as judges. So,
Yeah, she's not actually ruled on this part yet, so she's just
oh,
been
no,
she's just been Netburn's been basically like collecting all the info, then made her decision, then obviously the SEC appeal her decision, and then now it's to Torres to be like either overturn the appeal or I mean like overturn the decision or just agree with the decision from Judge Netburn.
yeah,
And listening to Jeremy Hogan did a video this week, and he basically said that it's likely she'll agree with Netburn because they've worked together for many years. If Torres thought she was wrong, she would overrule it and say, "Look, I don't think that's right." But basically, Hogan said that Judge Netburn's brief was so like in detail. There's not really anything she can like disagree with. There's like Judge Netburn has really been like almost long-winded with this. She's made sure there's like nothing that anyone can do in either side. Everyone's got their points across. So what can Judge Torres really like overrule? There isn't really
yeah.
anything. He's basically saying.
Yeah, that's true. That was a good video, to be fair. Suggest everyone go and watch that because it's quite in depth in terms of, and I do agree with him. To be fair, like if she has made that so watertight, like you said,
Mm.
and George Soros surely isn't going to undermine her if she's been that detailed with it, and especially if they've been working with each other for years. It's just doesn't make sense for Judge Torres to overrule it. But you never know with this case. I feel like anything can happen, and they're just delaying. It's just in my eyes, they're just still trying to delay it for some reason, even though they kind of know what their fate by now, surely. So
Yeah, I think they're trying to delay it until they get a decision from the library case, and then try and use that decision to like influence this case, like as case precedent. But
yeah,
actually, from hearing what they were saying about the library case, I actually think they're not even doing that well in the library case either,
I don't know.
because no, because apparently, they were they said to library like, oh, if so much as it doesn't matter how many people use it for utility, if so much as one person used it with the expectation as of profit, they're all securities. And then apparently the judge reacted to that, saying like, well, that's not really true. Like basically,
Hmm.
like straight away in court. So the judge's decision might not be even as straightforward as they thought in that case. So that could be good for us.
Let's see. Let's see what happens with it. And we'll obviously end the week with the charts. Again, nothing's really happened too much this week. We've lost the 50 MA on obviously XRP and Bitcoin itself as well. Ethereum's holding it. But nothing really going on in terms of price action, in terms of crypto. DXY is still floating around this 107 range, still trying to make its decision where it's going to have another leg up. It does look like it could be potentially gearing up to test this high again. Whether it takes it, I think we'll have a decision on that next week. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like a lot of things that happen during this week as well with the hikes and the potential recession coming, that will affect this massively as well.
Yep.
We've got oil again, still trying to make its decision whether it's going to overcome this resistance here.
Yeah.
Everyone's kind of suggesting that oil is going to have a potential another run up, which it does look like it. Indicators do kind of look like they are pointing towards that, which obviously wouldn't be good for inflation, but that's just another thing we're keeping an eye on. But I don't feel like anything's happened in the charts this week.
No, they're kind of just going
Sideways,
sideways, isn't it?
yeah,
Yeah.
a bit
Everyone's
of
waiting
sideways.
for the big day, which is today and tomorrow, and what comes off the back of those decisions, really, aren't they?
Yeah, because it's going to give every market, whether it be oil, crypto, DXY, it's going to give a general sense of direction in terms of where people think they're going to go to anyway. So I guess we'll have to give you guys an update on the charts and all the other good stuff next week. But
That's it.
that's
That's where we are.
that's what I mean. I think that's what the position I feel like we're at. I feel like everything is just simmering at the moment, waiting for some sort of decision from someone, and just to kind of get like a bit of information to give a bit of an advantage in terms of where they think everything's going. But at the moment, like the price action suggests, everything's a bit boring sideways at the moment because no one has a Scooby. That's basically what it is.
That's it. And I just want to finish this episode. I'm going to say I think that the real OGs watch this. So if you're a real OG and you're watching this episode, I've got a little tip for you, and I'm going to go not into it in depth because it's just a tip from me to you. Not financial advice, but look into Flare Network's new proposal for distribution. Read about it, and if you understand that, then I'll see you on the other side.
There you go. That's what you get for watching the podcast
That is
all the
what
way
you
out,
get from
all
watching
the
the
way through.
podcast. And I will reference this next year or at some point, or when the distribution happens. I'm not going to tell you when it is. You can read into it. And I guarantee you it's going to be looking nice on the sticks.
Looking nice. Will's kind of suggested it could be a potential top 10 project, top 10 coin. So read into it. Also do your own due diligence. Always got to do your own research into it. There's a lot to know about this, so it's not just something you can sit down and read once. You have to do a lot of digging into, a couple of YouTube videos here and there. But like with anything, if you put the time into something, you will be rewarded because it's a really cool project, especially how they're going to distribute it. So if you react fairly quickly in terms of within the next month or so, you could potentially benefit from that even more.
Good.
Get more for your money. So
summary there, Mr.
But
Pavman.
yes, we shall wrap this week's up like that, and hopefully we've got more interesting, juicy news for you guys next week. We'll have a lot of obviously the results of the Fed hikes, the recession, more earnings to talk about next week, I'm sure.
And hopefully, Judge Torres comes through in a week and she's like, bang, to the SEC. Sit down, Gary. Sit down, you lizard. And with that, thank you for tuning in. Peace up.
Peace up,
down.